we can talk about these big Illuminati-like entities at this period of time is just because of time. Like, they aged out. Like, you can't get in.
Anthony Joshua was not supposed to make it out of that car crash. That car crash was absolutely done to end his life. That was deliberately done. But when things like that are deliberately done, there have to be other people involved, other casualties involved to make it look like an accident.
That Anthony Joshua crash should let you guys know to stay prayed up, bro. Evil Eye is real. Evil Eye is real, yeah? Because, bro, like I said in our previous video, that car crash is spiritual, bro.
In my spare time, I infiltrate the Illuminati, find out what they got going on, run back to y'all, tell y'all what the
Anthony Joshua was not supposed to make it out of that car crash. That car crash was absolutely done to end his life. Now, I personally don't feel like Jake Paul had anything to do with it because I feel like this whole thing is bigger than him. It's higher than him. You know what I'm saying? But of course, that's always a possibility. He could have something to do with it. That's possible. But I personally feel like it was the elites, specifically the elites that bet on that boxing match because Anthony Joshua was also not supposed to win that boxing match. Jake Paul was. Anthony Joshua is doing a lot of things that Anthony Joshua should not be doing. So there are attacks on his life right now because he is going against the grain. Anthony Joshua is not falling in line and listening the way he is supposed to. So they are trying to kill him. They being, y'all know. Another thing, I recently ended up on CIA Talk, don't know how, but I've been watching interviews of members of the CIA telling us the things that they can tell us, right? One of the interviews that I watched, this man, I kid y'all not, this man says that the CIA has the capability of hacking your car. They have the technology to hack your car and make you drive into a tree, make you drive off the road, make you drive into the ocean, make you drive into another car, make you unalive yourself. Sit with that.
Sacred Society is a Black Skulls and Bones organization. Why was Kobe Bryant a target? Kobe Bryant, a Luciferian project, completed what I believe one of the greatest global cover-ups in history. But we have to see this for what it is concerning the assassination of Kobe Bryant. And one name keeps popping up. And it sounds like a Hollywood conspiracy movie, but the Boulets are vicious. You got this counterfeit like LeBron James, who has that Boulay logo tattooed on his chest. LeBron James has that Boulay tattooed on his chest.
Really, it was real vivid. And it was really, he said something to me I'm never gonna ever forget. He said, hello, the afterlife ain't what people make it up to be. I was like, oh shit. I didn't know how to take that. Like, what do you mean he misses girls? His mission is not done yet. Mm-hmm. Get it all in now. Right. Because you don't know what to expect, but that shit stuck.
No, so there was a crossroads where we were both invited to an Illuminati thing, and it had to be one or the other of us, and decisions had to be made. So it was both of us, we were equal. One of us had to cut off all their hair and couldn't do the sideburn thing no more with the points. And the next person, they said, was going to get $200 million because they were going to pay him $10 million a movie to do 20 movies. And that's how the conversation happened. One of those persons turned out to be Ludacris, and the other person turned out to be Katt Williams. Now, one person ended up with a light-skinned, ugly-faced wife that's never done it. Remember I told you that if I say that, it applied to 7 people? Yes. It's part of what they give you. Okay? I didn't get it. I'm not mad about it.
How much money they give? 200?
Sir. Fast and Furious is on what number right
10.
now?
200 million. I might need to get me one of the more women look the same.
That's what they all end up saying at the end of it.
One world people exist because it's a very powerful concept to have and far too lucrative and beneficial to not be attempted. Recruitment is an important facet of all. Like,
we have to get some young global leaders.
Well, understand this is the only reason that we can talk about these big Illuminati-like entities at this period of time. Is just because of time. Like, they aged out. Like, you can't get in new, so everybody got decrepit over there, and they can't exchange really through this period of history. And so that's how we ended up with the Bob Lazar.
10 days after a $90 million payday, a crash in Nigeria leaves 2 men dead, and the internet convinced it wasn't an accident. Anthony Joshua walks away with barely a scratch, while conspiracy theories explode across social media, dragging in secret societies, Hollywood power players, and whispers of a deal gone wrong. Was this just tragic timing, or did Joshua survive something he was never meant to escape? As rumors spiral from scripted boxing match to cult initiation claims, one question keeps resurfacing louder than the rest. What exactly did Anthony Joshua survive, and why are so many people convinced the cost was human lives? In the early hours of December 29th, reports began circulating about a devastating car crash on Nigeria's Lagos, Ibadan Expressway, a stretch of road already infamous for fatal accidents, and at the center of it was heavyweight boxing star Anthony Joshua. According to multiple accounts shared online, the vehicle he was traveling in was involved in a violent collision that claimed the lives of 2 men described as his close friends, while Joshua himself survived with only minor injuries. The contrast alone is what stopped people cold. 2 lives lost, families shattered, and yet the world-famous athlete at the center of it all walking away. Tributes and condolences flooded social media almost instantly as names and photos of the victims began to circulate, and for a brief moment, the story felt like another heartbreaking reminder of how fragile life can be, no matter how rich, powerful, or protected someone seems. There were no dramatic statements at first, no accusations, no wild theories, just shock, grief, and disbelief that a crash so severe could leave one man alive while the others never made it home. And it's that stark, uncomfortable reality, the silence after the impact, the finality of the losses, and Joshua's survival, that laid the emotional foundation for everything that followed. Just days before that crash, Anthony Joshua was riding one of the highest highs of his career, and that timing is what many online say made everything feel unsettling. Less than 2 weeks earlier, he had stepped into the ring against Jake Paul in a fight that shattered expectations, pulled in massive global viewership, and reportedly earned Joshua a staggering payout that instantly put him back at the center of the boxing world. After years of ups and downs, critics, and questions about his future, this fight was framed as a comeback moment, a reset, and a financial windfall all at once. To many observers, it felt like Joshua had suddenly crossed an invisible threshold. New momentum, new relevance, new money, and then, almost immediately, tragedy followed. There is no proof that these events are connected, but on the internet, timing alone is often enough to spark suspicion, and people began stitching together a narrative built entirely on proximity, coincidence, and pattern recognition rather than evidence. As that narrative took shape, the first target of online outrage was Jake Paul. Within hours of the crash making headlines, social media began buzzing with accusations that Paul had motive, anger, and the resources to retaliate after losing so publicly. Comment sections filled with claims that he couldn't handle the humiliation of defeat in front of tens of millions of viewers, and someone as far as accusing him of putting a hit out on Joshua. The backlash grew so loud and so fast that Paul eventually addressed it directly, posting a public message expressing condolences for the lives lost and stating that life was bigger than boxing. His statement slowed the accusations, but it also revealed how quickly the internet can latch onto a villain, rewrite a story, and then move on when a new angle feels more compelling. That shift happened almost immediately when attention turned away from Jake Paul and toward the fight itself. Online commentators began pushing the idea that the match wasn't just a fight, but part of a larger, unseen arrangement, allegedly one that didn't go according to plan. According to these theories, the outcome was supposed to favor Jake Paul, with powerful bettors and insiders placing massive wagers behind the scenes. When Joshua dominated instead, the story goes, those losses didn't just cost money, they embarrassed the wrong people. Again, there's no evidence of a scripted outcome, But the rumor spread quickly because it fit neatly into an already popular belief that major sports events are manipulated for profit, and Joshua's unexpected victory became the centerpiece of that suspicion. From there, the conversation grew darker and broader, moving beyond boxing and individual blame. Instead of asking who might be responsible, people began asking what might be responsible. Theories shifted toward faceless elites, shadowy financiers, and powerful groups that allegedly control industries, outcomes, and even lives. In this version of the story, Joshua wasn't being punished by a rival fighter, but by a system that doesn't tolerate unpredictability or defiance. The crash was no longer framed as an act of revenge, but as a warning, one of many, according to those who believe fame comes with invisible contracts and consequences. That's when comparisons to other celebrity tragedies started resurfacing, most notably the death of Kobe Bryant. Online commentators drew parallels between sudden success, rumored conflicts with powerful interests, and fatal accidents that left more questions than answers. These comparisons are rooted in perception, not proof, but they resonate emotionally because they tap into a shared fear that when celebrities reach a certain level of influence, they stop being protected and start being controlled. Whether those connections are real or imagined, the pattern people think they see, rise, resistance, tragedy, is what keeps these conversations alive, turning coincidence into conviction and grief into speculation that refuses to fade. As the theories intensified, the conversation took its most extreme turn, landing squarely in the world of cults and secret societies. Online sleuths began throwing around names like the Bull, the Freemasons, and unnamed elite groups, pointing to symbols, numbers, and gestures they claimed were hiding in plain sight. Screenshots circulated showing Joshua making hand signs people said resembled Masonic imagery. Others zeroed in on numbers, calling it too perfect to ignore. The fight allegedly drew 33 million viewers. Joshua's career tally lined up with the number 33. Even the money figures were picked apart and reassembled to fit the theory. To skeptics, it looked like cherry-picking coincidences. To believers, it looked like a code, one that only insiders understand. The pacing of these claims online was relentless, bouncing from symbol to symbol, number to number, each one presented as another brick in a secret wall the public wasn't supposed to see. That momentum didn't come out of nowhere. Fans pointed to celebrity whistleblowers they believe have been warning people for years, with Katt becoming one of the most frequently cited names. Clips of his past interviews resurfaced and went viral again, especially moments where he talked about secret societies in entertainment, soul-selling allegations, and the price of fame. Viewers framed his words as confirmation rather than commentary, arguing that Katt was saying out loud what others were too afraid to admit. Other old interviews, podcasts, and half-forgotten soundbites were pulled into the mix, stitched together into compilations that felt less like evidence and more like a digital echo chamber. Still, for many, the repetition itself became proof. If so many people are saying the same thing, they asked, how could it all be fake? That's where the audience truly split. On one side were skeptics pushing back hard, calling the entire narrative reckless, disrespectful to the victims, and built on nothing more than coincidence and confirmation bias. They argued that tragedies don't need hidden meanings and that not every famous person is part of some secret order. On the other side were believers who felt the crash was already the sacrifice, and that the real confirmation hadn't happened yet. According to them, the proof would come later, in the form of Anthony Joshua's future. If his career skyrockets, if bigger deals appear, if doors suddenly open wider than ever before, they believe it will all make sense in hindsight. And that's where the story stops refusing to end. No conclusions, no answers, just a growing divide fueled by grief, suspicion, and the internet's obsession with patterns. Because if nothing sinister happened, if this was truly just a tragic accident, then why does this theory refuse to die? And what would it actually take to convince people that sometimes timing is just timing and coincidence doesn't always mean conspiracy?